What is going on, everyone? We are back with our second episode. Tonight, we just finished up the first round of the 2025 NBA draft, and we're going to go through each pick and kind of give ideas and thoughts about how we feel about each one. Today's video is to get it out quickly to y'all, get it out before the morning hits. So if you want to see it, very little editing or anything, since I do that all myself. So it's just going to be one straight video, more podcast style this one. Coming in the first pick, everyone knew it, Cooper Flagg. Cooper Flagg to the Dallas Mavericks is just about as chalk as you could have made it out. This has been one of the more surefire picks since Victor Wembanyama, or thinking in recent memory, it's definitely more chalk than Zachary Richardson, than even Zion Williamson, with some of the debate regarding him and Ja Morant. Because, I mean, you are looking at probably one of the best college freshmen since Anthony Davis. So, in that regard, I love Cooper Flagg as a pick. It's a great pick. For them, they get an A+ for me. Coming in at number 2 is the San Antonio Spurs. San Antonio Spurs selected Dylan Harper, son of Ron Harper, out of Rutgers University. For this pick, I also give this an A+. I think this is a great pick for them. They get a really strong guard that I think will really help them. Him, Stephon Castle, and Wembanyama, I think really make up a really good three-headed monster, of course, powered by Victor. But Dylan Harper, with his shot making and physicality, I think they are going to be amazing together in the league. That pick gives an A+. Coming in at number 3, I have the Philadelphia 76ers with a B after selecting VJ Edgecombe. The reason this pick is a little bit lower for me, I personally would have liked Trey Johnson on this team. I think a little more just raw scoring threat would have been preferred. My biggest concern with them is that his intensity is like one of his big highlights for him as a player for VJ, and I'm just worried that it's going to die playing with Joel Embiid and Paul George, who both are seen, like, I don't think of them as like super high intensity guys. So I really hope that doesn't happen, but that's kind of my big concern and why they don't get a higher grade. Coming in at number 4 is the Charlotte Hornets, selecting Kon Knueppel. For them, I give this pick an A. Absolutely love this fit for the Hornets. I think putting LaMelo Ball, Kon Knueppel, Brandon Miller, Bridges, those guys all together, I think that's a really, really good fit that they have as their front four. I think that you are able to select the best shooter in the draft after having one of the very positively put one of the more creative players in the league with LaMelo, and a great scorer slasher with Brandon Miller. So I think Kon's going to be a great fit there. He gives good effort on defense. Not the best athlete, but a great shooter. Coming in at number 5, we have the Utah Jazz with Ace Bailey. This pick gives me, I put him at C-. I am not a big fan of Ace Bailey at all. I don't like the fact that at the beginning of his college season, it was, oh, he's 6'10", now he's 6'7". I don't like the fact that he was like, I believe it was like, he was like 240 or 230 or something, and he came out, he was like 210. Like, I remember it was like a 20-pound weight difference between his actual weight and reported weight. So like those things for me, I think there's a lot of, they're trying to use smoke and mirrors to make him better, and I just don't appreciate that. Also think he's just a shot chucker. He's a really good, he makes hard shots, but the other things aren't consistent enough. Like looking at other players in NBA history, you're talking about really hard shot makers. I mean, we can look at your Tracy McGrady's, your Kobe Bryant's, players like that, and there's like, that is a true skill. Kobe Bryant had every fundamental in the game, though. Like, he had so much other things going for him that made it where that was just a plus. I think that ability has just made it where he's a bad shot taker now because his IQ isn't there. So for that reason, the Utah Jazz get a C- for me. I mean, just overall, I think Utah Jazz had a horrible draft. If I lived in Salt Lake City, I would riot in the streets tomorrow morning probably, because this whole thing was terrible. Coming at number 6, I have Trey Johnson. Trey Johnson to the Washington Wizards, I have it a B+. I really think this is a great pick for the Wizards. I think, especially with Jordan Poole gone now, being sent to the New Orleans Pelicans, I really, really like Trey Johnson there. He's going to get his time to get his shots up. And that's what I really like with him. Him and VJ, I both would have wanted to see on like bad teams. Cooper, I want to see on a good team early. Dylan Harper, I want to see on a good team early. VJ and Trey Johnson, I want to see on bad teams. I want them to have that time to make the mistakes they need to make so that they are, by year 2, year 3, they are better because they've had the room to make those mistakes. And Trey Johnson, I think, is in a great position. I really like his pace he plays with. I think it's going to fit really well alongside Bilal Coulibaly and Sarr. If we can get a little bit better consistency out of Sarr, where we saw those big flashes this year, I think it could be a really interesting team to watch. By no means are they going to be a good team, but could be interesting. Coming in at 7, the New Orleans Pelicans selected Jeremiah Fears out of Oklahoma. This one gets a D for me. I did not like this pick at all. I do not like Jeremiah Fears as a player. I think Jeremiah Fears, he's undersized and he's not a good shooter. And I just don't think those things pair well together, especially when like the star of your franchise is undersized in reference to height with Zion Williams for his position. And yes, you have like Messi there, and now you have Jordan Poole. I'm just kind of wondering, when is Jeremiah going to have the opportunity to make the mistakes? Because like clearly he's a player that's going to make a lot of mistakes early on. So I don't like the fact that I don't want him to be like Reed Shepherd, where he's just stuck on the bench. Hopefully that's not the situation for him, because I feel like he really needs that time to develop by getting reps. Coming in at number 8, we have the Brooklyn Nets. The Brooklyn Nets selected, I believe they took all 5 of their picks in this draft. Coming in for the first one for them, they selected Igor Demon. I have it a C. Igor's huge. I think he's like 6'9" off the top of my head. And that's really what keeps him from being in like the D or F category, just because of that size. If he ever develops a shot, it's a thing of who cares about his passing and stuff. He can play 1 through 4 at that point, but his passing is legitimately amazing. I think he's in the top 20 passers probably already in the league, 2025. I mean, he's a great passer, super creative with the ball. His highlight tape, where I think with a lot of guys you'll see scoring is 60 to 70%, playmaking is like 20, and defense is like maybe the other 20 to 10%. Igor's like 50% playmaking. It is truly beautiful to watch, and I love watching him play. So I'm really hoping the Nets give him that opportunity. They drafted a lot of other guards though, so that's my only concern, is that he might not get the leash that I hope he does, but hopefully with being their first pick, he gets that leash. Coming at number 9 is Colin Murray Bulls out of South Carolina. This one gets an F for me. I think this is a terrible, terrible pick. I heard on the broadcast people are like, oh, he's not a consistent scorer. No, I think he's a consistently bad scorer. Like, all of his points come from rebounding and getting right at the rim. It's gotten better in his second year. I still don't think he's good at all on the offensive end. I think he's such an offensive liability. The things you love about him is the effort and the defense. He's the second best defender in this class, without a doubt. I think it's Cooper Flagg and clearly the first tier. And then you get people like Colin Murray Bulls up there, and I think you got like Thomas Sorber is also a high level defender. Like those, that would be the conversation for 2, but he's a great defender. He just has no offensive game, and I mean, you got Brandon Ingram and Scotty Barnes already. And Barrett, RJ Barrett. It's just kind of a thing to me that it's like, I mean, I don't know where he's a player like that. I think he either needs to be on a really, really good team and help in like spot like 8-minute splotches of games, very limited, and you can use that defense to really help you, or he needs to play 35 minutes a night on a really bad team. This in-between stuff, I don't like it for him and his development. Next, we had the Phoenix Suns trading with the Rockets from the KD trade, getting Kaman Malawach. This one I give a B+. I really like this. I think the Phoenix Suns have fixed a lot of issues with their team in one night. Between getting Mark Williams from the Hornets and now getting Kaman Malawach, I think they have put themselves in a position where it's like, oh my goodness, you have two absolute freaks at the center position. You have Mark Williams, who I believe has like the biggest standing reach in the NBA, and then Kaman Malawach, who, if it wasn't for Victor Wembanyama being in the league, we would be talking about him being one of the freakiest athletic types with body size. It is insane with Kaman Malawach. Big concerns with him are the fouling and the outside scoring. That's not what he's going to be asked to do early. I think he's going to be a backup center to Mark Williams, and I really look forward to watching him play on the Phoenix Suns. I think they really made good moves tonight, and I'm really, really excited to see that out of the Phoenix Suns. Coming in number 11, we have the Memphis Grizzlies getting Cedric Coward. Cedric Coward, I absolutely love this pick. I thought this was absolutely beautiful from them. I give them an A- for this pick. They've replaced Desmond Bane. Like, in this pick, I think they've done that. He shoots a 3-ball at a really good level. He's a good defender. I don't think he'll have like the playmaking by no means of Desmond Bane, but that's what you got Ja Morant for. That's why he is considered to possibly be like, oh, is he going to make a run back at being a top 15 player? It would be because of playmaking and ball handling. Cedric Coward can stand on the arc, cut, slash if he needs to, and hit the spot up shots. And so I absolutely love him for this pick, and that's why he's an A- for me. Coming in at number 12, Chicago Bulls select Noah Essingay. Noah Essingay I give a B- on this pick for. I wish they would have went a little more upside. For them, I think if you're going to get really, really weird and really like boisterous, I think Drake Powell would have been a good pick. Or Carter Bryant, I think, would have been really good. Just a higher upside player than Noah Essingay. And just for like kind of that basic limitation for me, I don't see the shot with him. I think he's good. I think he's a good passer, but I don't see anything like special. So B- for that pick. Coming in number 13, I have Derek Queen with an A- grade. Before coming in this draft, I was really set on like I was going to have a meltdown over when Derek Queen got selected, because some people were talking about like 6, 7, 8, and I just thought that was way too high, especially for the teams picking in that range. But him at 13, I believe, is absolutely perfect. I think this is a great team for him to be with. You get Zion off the floor for his rest, and then you bring in Derek Queen. Him and Messi, he can handle the pick and roll with Messi. I think that can give the league issues, and I'm really, really excited to see that. And so for that reason, playmaking big like that, I really like an A- grade for them. Coming in at number 14, San Antonio Spurs selecting Carter Bryant. Carter Bryant is a B+ grade for me. I think you've probably gotten the best athlete in the class. If not, he's one of the 2 best athletes at least, and I don't think he's 2. And you got a really good spot-up shooter. He did that really well at Arizona on limited attempts, just due to kind of the focus of their offense being at some of their older players. But Carter Bryant is just a terrific athlete, defender. He'll be a lob threat, slashing, and also he's just a good shooter. So I think that him with Wemby, Castle, and also Dylan Harper, like you can have like an athletic freak show on the court with the San Antonio Spurs. I'm really excited to watch them play this year with him on the team, and I just think it was a good pick. Coming in number 15, we have the OKC Thunder selecting Thomas Sorber. Thomas Sorber was one of my favorite players in the draft. I absolutely loved him. And so him being put on the now NBA final champion OKC Thunder, I'm really, really happy about that. I think he's going to be a really good pick and roll defender. He moves really well. But the big thing with him is his defense at the rim. Straight vertical defender. And I'm really, really excited to see him. I think he'll be a great replacement for Hartenstein if they can't afford him in the future. Or if they want to get rid of the center Williams, they can get rid of him. And I think he provides a lot of, you can play him and Chet together and you have a team that can just run you out the gym at that point. So for that reason, there B. Coming in at number 16, the worst pick in the entire draft. Not just because it absolutely destroyed my big board, but it was just a bad pick. Yang Hansen out of China. This is an F, an easy F grade. I don't care that the guy is huge and he did good in the CBA. I don't care. His highlights that they showed after he got drafted were just not good highlights. I'm like, if this is what we're showing people to get the world excited, it's a bad pick, and it was. I'm undoubtedly believe this was a poor pick. I just don't see like where this could be like a good thought for them. Especially you have DeAndre Ayton, you got Donovan Clingan. You just drafted Donovan Clingan. He looked great last year in limited minutes. And it's the thing of, we got to find a way to get him more minutes because we got Robert Williams, DeAndre Ayton on the team too. And you go and draft Yang Hansen. Yang Hansen, there's a reason I'm all for going outside the box to think about stuff. But sometimes there's a reason that no one else thinks it. It's because it's stupid. It's a poor pick. And this was horrendous. This was absolutely terrible. I almost had to knock everyone else up a letter grade so I could make sure we were sure about the distinction about how poor of a pick this is. Coming in number 17, we have Minnesota Timberwolves drafting Jonah Beringer. I love this pick. He was number 6 on my big board. I absolutely loved him. I think he's super, super athletic. I think he's going to do great playing. He's going to be a great option when Rudy Gobert gets played off the floor in playoffs, because that's going to happen. It happens every year at this point. He's going to be an option to take that spot and still have a lob threat. You're actually going to have an athletic lob threat, not just a 7'2" non-athletic lob threat, and a rim protector, and a true rim runner. Whereas, I mean, what is Rudy Gobert, a rim jogger at best at this point? So I gave him a B+ for this pick. I think it was really good. Coming in at number 18, we have the Utah Jazz with Walter Clayton Jr. This pick I give a C. I'm not a big Walter Clayton Jr. guy. I think he's a good shooter. I think he's arguably the second or third best shooter in the class. You know, he's definitely not Colin Knueppel, but I think he will shoot it off the dribble at any point in time. Like in my opinion, I think the Utah Jazz just drafted 2 shot chuckers. I don't see. I feel bad for Walker Kessler. I can say that. I think Walker Kessler he's got some chances, some offensive rebounds, because they're going to miss some shots this year. And so that's kind of where I'll leave that one at. At number 19, we have the Brooklyn Nets drafting Nolan Traore. I have a B- for this grade. I think it's a fine pick, I think he's got a really good first step. Only issue is you already have you've drafted so many guards. I mean, you're just so many guards deep at this point, so I didn't really understand that. You already have Igor Demin. I understand that those two players are not alike at all. They are not the same player. But it's like they're playing the same position. I mean, were they going to throw Igor at the 4 to fit all I mean, you can, at any point next year, they will be able to say, look at their new first-round pick on the floor, just with how many they have, because they all play the same position. Coming in, and for that pick, I had a B-. Coming in number 20, Kasparis Giacosonis. I like him. I had him in my early 20s on my big board. I think he's a way better shooter than everyone gives him credit for. Jay Billis was talking about on the broadcast. I didn't like how it didn't seem like he didn't know why his shooting went down. Like, anyone who really has looked into this knows it was a shoulder injury he had right as the year turned. So I wish we had better coverage for that, but you can't have it all in life. But I think Kasparis is going to be I think he's the second best passer in this class after Igor. I think he's a good shooter when he needs to be, when he's healthy. So I'm really hopeful that this can be a good pick for the Miami Heat. They had Mitchell, who had a really good year last year, and they have Hero already there. So really looking to see how he meshes. But I could see Kasparis and Bam doing extremely well together. It's just kind of the other guys at that position I'm kind of thinking about. Coming at 21, we have the Washington Wizards actually selecting Kasparis' teammate, Will Riley. I did not like this pick at all. I'm never really a fan. I think the one exception I have is probably Carter Bryant because of how their team was. But guys who have to come off the bench, and like a Will Riley, talking about, he was a Big Ten Rookie of the Year. Freshman of the year. Big Ten Sixth Man of the Year. I don't care. I don't care if you were the sixth man at Illinois. If you were the sixth man at Michigan on the Fab Five, now we're talking. Now we're getting somewhere, but I just didn't like the pick. I think he's a decent rim finisher. I think he's good, okay at that, but I really wish they could have gone somewhere like a Drake Powell, Asa Newell, Nick Clifford. Literally any of the picks that came after this I thought were better than this. And for that reason, I give them a D. Coming in at 23, we have the Atlanta Hawks selecting Asa Newell. This one I give a D also. I'm sorry. At 22, we have the Brooklyn Nets. The Brooklyn Nets selecting Drake Powell. I gave them a C+ for this one. Drake Powell, I think, is one of the more interesting prospects in this draft. The big thing for me that I always go back to with him anytime I feel like I'm not loving watching his tape, I'm like, but he shot 44% on catch and shoot threes. He shot 44%. And that's something that really I'm like, okay, there's a place for him in the league. Let's look at Cam Johnson, Mikal Bridges. If you can defend and hit an open three on the catch, you got a spot. And that's why my comp for him was Mikal Bridges. Man, him on the Nets this year. Based on their draft, I'm thinking they're keeping Nick Claxton too. I thought they would have went and got a center at some point if they were really trading him away, but never happened. So Drake Powell out there, I think he's going to do good on the catch, shoot threes. I think that'll translate to the league. He's athletic enough. He's got the motor. He's a good defender. So I think it's a C+. I would have liked Nick Clifford a little bit more here. Probably would have liked Nick Clifford, I think, would have been perfect for this team. I think, but that's just me. Coming in at 23, we have Asa Newell. This one gets a D for me. I think he's a good rebounder. He's good at cutting, driving to the basket, and he's athletic. I don't see the shot with him. I think that I wish he was a little bit bigger if his game was going to be so predicated on rebounding. So that's kind of one thing I really wish that I saw more out of him. And I feel like we just got like a smaller, more athletic version of like Clint Capella here. Because like I don't see a lot of skill. I see effort, and I love the effort, but I don't like him. I know other analysts are really big on him. I'm not big on him though. So for him, I get a D. 24, the Sacramento Kings. I got Nick Clifford at a B+. This is one of my favorite picks of the draft. Watching it with my roommate, I kept saying about how much I love this guy, and hearing the reporters talk about how the Sacramento Kings really want to get like aggressive, just tough guys on their team, and so they picked Nick Clifford. I thought that was a great pick. I really thought they were going to go Jace Richardson here, needing a point guard, but they went with Nick Clifford, and I really like that pick. I think Jace would have been my pick for it, but Nick Clifford was a really good pick. He would have been my second option. Coming at 25, the Orlando Magic selecting Jace Richardson, A+, easy A+. A+. He is a top 8 player for me in this draft. People were way too concerned about his size. Oh, he's a defensive liability, The Warriors have done it with Curry for years about him being a defensive liability, and they still have good defensive numbers every year. You just have to put the pieces around them. And I think the Orlando Magic are a perfect team for him to be on, because you can have Jace Richardson, Desmond Bane, Paulo Banchero, Franz Wagner, and then Gogo Bitadze at the 5. I think that's a great defensive lineup right there. And you're like, oh, they have one hole. You got help defenders. Their issue was they couldn't create a shot. They couldn't get points. Jace Richardson's going to solve that pretty quick. That man is under 6'1", and 70% of his shots are at the rim. That shows that he knows how to manipulate traffic, and also he is aggressive. Him sitting back, relying on the three-point shot too much is not going to be an issue with him. So I really like him. Coming in at 26, we have Ben Seraph out of Israel. This pick's a D- for me. I think Danny Wolf, and they wound up drafting him next, so you can kind of, but in just a vacuum, I would have rather had Danny Wolf. Liam McNeely, I think, would have been better. Noah Penda, I think, out of France would have been better. I just really didn't get this pick, especially with all the other guards being picked. So I think that was just maybe they're just banking on we'll have a guard of the future at this draft, but I didn't like it. And that's why it gets a D- for me. 27, we have Brooklyn Nets again on their back-to-back picks, getting Danny Wolf. This one gets a B- for me. I like the pick. I think there's a lot of concerns with Danny Wolf. I'm just glad they got a big guy. And he is that kind of point center kind of body. He turns the ball over a lot. He was top 10 this year in turnovers for the NCAA. I thought him crying was really weird. I thought the broadcast kind of harping on it was really weird too. So I don't know, that maybe that's tainted some of my opinion on this, because I'm like, that's just weird. It feels weird. And yeah, I don't know. It was something about it. It was weird. But he gets a B- for me. Boston Celtics up next at 28, drafting Hugo Gonzalez. Hugo Gonzalez out of Spain. This one gets a C. I don't think it's great. I don't think it's terrible. I don't think the Celtics are drafting him to start at any point. They're not they're saying, oh, this guy can start for us in the future. I don't think anyone has that thought. I think if we have to bring him off the bench, can he defend? I think Hugo will be okay at that. I think he's athletic enough to be a good one. He seems to have the motor for it, so I'm really excited to see that, if that translates. But I think overall it was a decent pick. Nothing to write home about. I would have liked Liam McNeely more. And that brings us to 29 with the Charlotte Hornets. They did draft Liam McNeely out of UConn, and for this one, I give this grade a C+. And after like seeing his tape on the TV, looking at some of the stuff again, I might want to move this one up into the B range a little bit more. This was the one pick I was going back and forth on a lot. Because watching his stuff early at UConn, I remember watching him when, you know, college is doing a lot more of the tournament stuff. You know, whether they're playing in like, you know, the Bahamas or wherever they feel like playing for these different tournaments, and just like really being disappointed in Liam. Like it felt like he was shot chucking. It felt like he knew he was their best offensive option, so he had way too much freedom. And that could have been the system, but he clearly has a high pedigree for basketball. He was on that Montverde team with Derek Queen, Cooper Flagg, and I'm trying to remember who else was on that team. Can't remember off the top of my head. But I know Derek Queen and Cooper Flagg were on it. But so I think he's an okay pick. I think the Hornets, he could be, if it works out with him, he could be a really good six-man for them. So I'm really, really excited about that. And that's why he gets a C+ from me. And coming in at 30, the Los Angeles Clippers select Yannick Niederhauser, the center out of Penn State. First round pick out of Penn State. Penn State would have never guessed that. He's 22 years old, for those that don't know. 6'11". Led the Big Ten in shots blocked. For me, he gets a B- grade. For me, I really like it because I think he can back up Zubac really well, and you still have that almost exact same style coming in. He's not as thick as Zubac, but he's probably a little more athletic. And I believe he averaged over like 2 shots blocked per game at Penn State in Big Ten play. So I'm really excited to see if like that could translate over. But overall, I think he was a decent pick for them this late in the draft. I would have liked Noah Pender better. But that's just me. And that'll be all for this video. If you have any disagreements or agreements, make sure you leave them down in the comments. Look forward to night 2 tomorrow at 8 p.m. Hopefully we can get another video out for that one also tomorrow evening. Till then, see you later, man.